been feeling disconnected now.
I get money, now I'm reckless now.
I get high, coming off the ground. This life is a prison, someone let me out. Hello everybody and welcome back to the latest episode of the Let's Start Dream podcast. My name is Mikey and this is episode 23.
And my name is Carson. Hello everybody. Nice to have you here.
Exactly. Nice to have you all. I hope you all had a great week so far. I know that I didn't really do too much, but I built this new chair, so that's nice. Good lumbar support. It's always where it's at.
Yeah, it's all in the lumbar.
Things like chairs and beds, you're going to have to invest some money in them because you use those things every day, okay? You bring a honey home and you have a fucked up bed, she's not going to want that. Actually, I don't know. I know we've had some crazy experiences with women and less than ideal.
Yeah, if somebody wants to fuck you, they'll fuck you on the floor. Like I don't think it really has much to do with the situation or the setting of the potential fuck.
Not everyone's that superficial.
Yeah, no, I've definitely hooked up with some girls in some like really strange spots. Like, I mean, we've talked about it before that the first time I ever, did anything sexual with a woman was in the grass. Like, I put down the sheet from my bed, like a bed sheet that I took in my backpack to school because I knew that it was going down that evening. And after school, we just went back behind the football field and we just laid this bed sheet down on the ground and we just like hopped in the grass.
Motherfucker must have been looking like Linus from Peanuts, just carrying around this blankie all day, sucking his fucking thumb.
Well, it was just like tucked up in my backpack, but a bed sheet is a lot of a thing, for like a queen size bed or whatever, a full or whatever it was, and so it's just taking up all this goddamn room in my backpack.
You probably brought the thinnest sheet too, like the top cover type shit, because
yeah.
It's just enough to cover the ground from.
Yeah. But it's not like preventing sticks from like poking you in the ass at all.
Oh my god, you card. And then you could be in their beds too, and they'll still invite you over the next evening. Like, you take a fat piss in their bed and wake up the next morning, and they're like, "Oh, so you still coming over at 8 tonight?" They're just like, "Hell yeah!" And the pee-pee sheets.
Yeah, that's where I'm a fucking hypocrite too, is because I've done that. I've peed in a girl's bed on several different occasions, and she's invited me back. And I know that if like a girl peed in my bed, I'd be like weird about it. I'm a hypocrite for that shit.
I feel like you wouldn't be weirded out necessarily. You'd be like, "Damn, that's hot." I might be like that.
Nah, not in the least.
Bitch marked the territory. I like that.
Yeah, but I don't want to like wake up cold and shit. Like if I did it, then I can like take the fall. I can be like, all right, look, I'm a piece of shit. This is the sort of thing I do. I'm waking up freezing and it's all my fault. But if it's somebody else's urine, I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like I wanted to sleep in today. I did the right thing.
Now I gotta do the fuck. I have to do the laundry and fucking flip my mattress type of shit.
You can only flip a mattress so many times, and then it's just like, man, this other side is still wet. It hasn't enough time has not passed, and so now I'm just like between a rock and a hard place.
I'm guessing that the majority of our viewers haven't peed the bed in recent years, but it's such a funny thing because like in my situations, in my circumstances, when I have pissed the bed, it's like there's a stage of deniability where I'm just trying to like, okay, I sweat a lot. I know I sweat a lot. That's why my pillow's wet. That's why my chest is wet. That's why down here is wet. And especially a pool down here where my junk is, that's why it's extra wet because, I had underwear on, which is the most clothes, plus the covers. So that's why I sweat so much because, there's layers. And no, there's just all up in my bed sheets.
Yeah, no, I've definitely had that sense of denial, like, oh man, I'm just sweating through these sheets right now. Like it has nothing. It's not. I didn't pee. And then you move around a little bit, and you're like, nah, I for sure peed. I for sure peed in this bed. And you know what's like the wackest is like when you piss the bed at an age above 13, and you gotta like do your own laundry at that point. So you're just like fuck, and you're just taking down your sheets, and your mom's like, why are you washing your sheets for no? I never have seen you wash your sheets. You're a teenage boy. Like you could sleep on the same sheets for a straight year and not give a fuck. And I'm like,
Facts.
no, I just wanted to like clean my sheets. Like I just want some fresh sheets. You know how it is. And then she like totally knows. Like, oh, you pissed the bed, you dirty motherfucker.
On the topic of switching things, I was thinking about this last night because okay, so we got a new 4K TV, and it's fucking amazing. And so I don't know, my parents had company over, and my dad he does his thing at night where he watches TV, and I was just sitting about I was just so happening sitting right next to him, and he decided to put Earth on or whatever, one of those like nature documentaries that are fucking beautiful on Netflix due to like all these new 4K drones. So I go to my room and smoke some CBD because I don't know, I like the feel of CBD and I wanted to be relaxed while I was watching this. And so I smoked some CBD, but I realized like I might have hit some of that on my shirt because the smoke might have hit me on the shirt. And so I switched my shirt. And as that's happening, though, I'm thinking, like, how many times in my, like, adolescence, teenage years did I go do something and switch my shirt or my pants or all my outfit because I smoked? And, like, is that a giveaway? Like, do they know? Do my parents know at this point? Like, oh, Mikey changed his shirt. He must be doing something up to no good type shit. Because literally, I did that all the time. Like, my logic was, like, if I smoked in this shirt, they're going to smell it for sure. But yeah,
And then
no,
you
and
just
my
talk and your breath is loud as fuck.
yeah,
And
that's
you're
the
like,
thing is, if you're a stoner, you never knew. You don't really know like what smells and what doesn't, because you're always high. But like, I remember I realized one time our frat brother Kyle, I was in the car with him. He picked me up from somewhere, and we were just talking. I'm like, dude, did you smoke in here? Like it smells, and he's just like, nah, I just took some gravity bong hits. And I like as he's talking to me, I smell it in his breath, and that's what I fucking 100% knew. Like, okay, if anyone's ever smoking gravity bongs, like your breath reeks.
yeah, I definitely have noticed that more since I've quit smoking in the past 2 years. I I'll sometimes bring out people's pizza to their car. I work at a pizza shop and I bring it out to their car, and and they'll roll down the window, and I can tell they haven't smoked in the car. Like it's not the situation, because if you smoke in a car with leather seats, like it is loud when you open the window. Like you're gonna open the window and I can smell it from like 10 feet away. There's just no way to hide it. But it's not like that. It's like they roll down the window and it takes a second. And as they're talking to me, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, you've just smoked, because I can smell it on you. I can smell it on your person rather than your car.
The thing is, like, do you think they've known this whole time? Like, that's my thing. Is that like if somebody like comes near me and they've smoked, like I can smell it on you, but like, were my parents in deniability this whole time of my marijuana addicted adolescent years, where they just like, oh, he's not on it. I don't know. Or like, the way I know that they didn't know is that when they did find out, they got really fucked. They got mad. Like when they didn't know, they weren't mad. They were all right. And so I'm like, oh, maybe they do know. Like I make this shit so fucking obvious. Like I literally smoke all day, every day. There's no way my breath doesn't smell loud at every point of the day. And so I don't know. I have no clue why they wouldn't know.
Well, it's
But
also a
yeah.
parental thing where it's maybe they do know, but they don't want to know. They know, but they don't want to admit to themselves or to each other that they
That's
know,
some
because
fucked up shit.
they don't want to deal with the repercussions, even though they're not coming on them. The repercussions are coming on you. They don't want to have to deal with that reality. I think there's a lot of people in that situation, especially with drugs, where somebody in your life very close to you is clearly on drugs. They're clearly doing something. They're drinking too much, or they're smoking pot all the time, or they're doing something a little bit harder. And the signs are all there, but you don't put it together in your head almost on purpose as this like defense mechanism.
That's so wild, bro. Oh, holy shit. Hey, everybody. A military coup. I
Oh
don't know if
yeah,
that's the right word. Coup?
Coup. It's pronounced coup. Yeah.
Hey, everybody, let's talk about the motherfucking... the storming of the Capitol. That fucking just happened the other day. Holy shit. Whoa, how did we forget that one?
The most
was literally-
pathetic nonsense I've ever seen.
I had seen this tweet, or this, what was the fucking tweet originally? It was SpongeBob and Patrick just walking in their home, SpongeBob's home, like, oh, like, willy-nilly like this, like, ah! And they had, like, people walking in the Capitol just like that. And I laughed, but I didn't see any footage from people walking in the Capitol. And then I saw footage of people walking in the Capitol, and it literally looked like SpongeBob and Patrick just frolicking in that bitch, like, that looked like they were on a fucking, like a middle school fucking, what do you call it, a middle school field trip. Just chilling in there.
I've seen a lot of memes about it. I mean, it's been the biggest memeable thing in recent memory is the storming of the Capitol. But I really don't care about it anymore because it happened when it happened. I was watching the news and it felt like a big event. It felt like a huge deal. And now that it's a couple days later, it just feels so fucking irrelevant. It's like, oh, okay, you got your temper tantrum out, you fucking idiots, you morons. That is the dumbest shit. And I really do have some sympathy for the people that did that because I think a lot of them feel as though they've been wronged in some way. They honestly believe Donald Trump talking about that the election has been stolen, that it's been rigged. They believe this guy because they believed him for so long. They've drank the Kool-Aid. And so they're going to fight for what they believe. In their minds, that's what they're doing, is fighting for what they believe. You know, I think there was probably Nazis when I'm not trying to like make the thing that these people are all actual fucking Nazis. I think some of them have those beliefs, but I'm sure there's plenty of Nazis that were like, well, these values that I've been taught coming up as a young man, these are the values that I hold dear in my heart. And it's just because they drank the Kool-Aid. Somebody fed them the fucking Kool-Aid and they drank it. And
that's all they know
at this point. And they what?
I said that's all they know, maybe.
Yeah, that's just kind of like what their frame of reference is. You kind of have to put yourself in other people's shoes and think of what your perspective would be if you were in their specific situation. You only know what you know. And sometimes even if facts or whatever information is presented to you that it's reasonable, you don't accept it because it goes against what you've already established as true. So I do have a certain level of sympathy for these people because they really feel like they've been robbed of something and something's been done to them and something's being done to the country. But on another level, on another note, they are ridiculously stupid for doing what they did. And it's just like a disgraceful, stupid thing.
Let's like dissect this a little bit. Or let me talk it out a little bit because like obviously this was a plan, not the protest itself was a plan. The protest part of the whole thing, not the more raidy storming action, but the actual just going to the Capitol and protesting. That was planned.
Right.
But they just went ahead and just stormed the building then after that?
I'm sure there was people that knew that was going to happen. I don't think that was just on a whim. The crowd as a whole decided to do that. I think that there was a couple of people, at least in that group, that knew this is our intention. We're going to storm the Capitol. We're going to go inside, see what we can do.
Trump is getting like some serious backlash right now. Like, I mean, not backlash, like worse than backlash, like ramifications. Like his Twitter's deleted now.
Yeah.
You know, impeachment. Although people always talk about impeachment, and people are also like, "Oh, what's impeachment gonna do?" He loses a lot from impeachment, even post presidency. Like his $1 million budget for flight, protection from the Secret Service, the $200,000 a year. That's all gone after if he becomes impeached. But like,
if I'm Donald Trump right now, the only reasonable thing to do The only reasonable thing you can do, and I don't know if he's going to do this. I don't think he's going to do this. Is resign and have Mike Pence pardon him, because it's very possible he gets brought up on some sort of criminal charges, and if that's the case, he's going to be in some fucking hot water. I mean, no matter what, dude's not going to serve a day in prison. He's very rich, but if he knew what was right for him, he would step down as president. Mike Pence would become president for the remainder of the term. He could pardon Trump. I mean, that's what happened with Nixon. Nixon, was facing criminal charges for Watergate, and so he had his vice president, whose name I'm totally just fucking blanking on right now. Pardon him.
Why don't we remember his name then? Like that president's name, is he even in the books?
Yeah. No, I just totally forget for some reason.
So, what do you think these? Do you think this riots, as people are saying, compares with the other riots? Is there any comparison with BLM?
What do you mean?
BLM in this?
I think there's similarities and differences. The similarities are that it's a group of people that attempted to peacefully protest for what they believe, and
I'm all for that.
And I think if you're on
Black
the left
Lives Matter
in this,
or Trump supporters, if you're gonna peacefully protest, I'm with that.
right, and I think if you're on the right, you think that like, oh, BLM, that wasn't a peaceful protest. Like, look at the news. Look at people burning cars in the news. Obviously, the news is fear mongering, and it's going to show you the worst of everything. But that's what a lot of people on the right tended to believe, and people on the left, in this case, they don't even see their own hypocrisy. That they're like, don't call them protesters. They weren't protesters. This was terrorist behavior. And it's like, dude, you're doing the exact same fucking thing. There's a group of people trying to protest something that they believe in, whether you like it or not, whether you think it's ridiculous or not. That's what they're doing, is they're peacefully protesting. And then a group within that group decides to take it too many steps further. And that's what happened with a lot of these Black Lives Matter protests, is that it's a group of people trying to peacefully protest, a much larger group, albeit, trying to peacefully protest for a cause that they believe is right. And a smaller sect, insurgent sect of that group, decided to kick things up a notch and burn down buildings and burn down cars and businesses. It's mob mentality is dangerous in any scenario, and in this one, it's just become a politically divisive issue where if it's your people fighting for what they believe in, no, they were just protesting. But if it was their people, then oh shit, like these are fucking terrorists and they should be jailed forever. I'm not saying that the people that raided the Capitol shouldn't go to jail, because they should. What they did was criminal and stupid. And
say that one again. Stupid. It was really fucking stupid.
And I think if you burn down a fucking store during the BLM riots, then you should be in jail too. Like, if you do dumb criminal shit, despite what the circumstances are, you should be reprimanded for that. But if you didn't, there was plenty of people during this Capitol thing that just kind of stood outside and then left when it got too hot. And yeah, they're just people that wanted to protest for something, and they left on cue. Yeah, it's kind of a sticky situation. So that's what's similar to me about it. What's different is the severity in a global sense, because with the BLM thing, I don't think that tracks outside of our borders as much, because that happens everywhere. It doesn't even seem like really a story that much to a lot of the world. That's what I would assume. And this is like, if you are somewhere in France and you turn on the TV and you see the United States Capitol just getting fucking raided by all these people with signs and in costumes, like, it looks like there's an attack.
The dude that was on Nancy Pelosi's desk is getting fucked because he stole some mail. That's just stupid. That's just... And he went on Facebook Live, too. Like, oh, I'm in the Capitol. Let me go live right now so all my friends can see.
Yeah.
I've done some stupid shit. I know I have. And I'll gladly admit it. I'll openly admit that I have done stupid shit in my life. I'm glad that going into the Capitol building on a Facebook Live is not one of them. I'm very glad. It's just like, I
Yeah,
guess, I don't
there's a
know. Do they
difference
lose?
between. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, did they lose? Like, did they just think they're invincible? I know they're not thinking, "Oh, I got white privilege." No one's thinking that actively. At least for that,
Yeah,
I
well,
don't.
because people that are acting on their white privilege in that way, where they're kind of abusing it in a way where you can do something like that and not get fucking shot, they don't think they have white privilege. They don't think white privilege exists. So yeah, they're not thinking like, oh, let me use my white privilege to try to do this thing. They just don't think that exists whatsoever. So I don't think that that was their thought process at all. I think they see themselves as more of the oppressed
Yeah, I could see
group.
that.
You know, they think it's like, well, just because I have this set of beliefs and values, I'm oppressed. I'm, being fought against by the media, by the government, by whoever. And to a certain level, yes. To a certain level, no. Yes, people
I hear
with
you.
extremist values do get clowned by the media and aren't generally accepted. And no, just because you're a Republican, just because you're a staunch conservative, does not mean you're oppressed in any way at all.
They're
At
the most
fucking
repressed
all.
people in the country, Carson. Don't you know
Well, repressed maybe. I don't know about oppressed. Um,
that?
no, it's silliness. It's silliness.
He said repressed, sexually repressed.
Yeah, I mean
Bunch of
it's
faggots. That's why everyone on the right is so angry, because they're just a bunch of faggots. They're gay motherfuckers just like me and you. And okay, well, not. They just want to take their clothes off and touch each other. And until they do that, then the right's gonna be mad. Okay, so just give them time to stay in the closet, and the country will be better. Okay, everybody,
Mikey
make
is on the
America gay again.
LGBT. Mikey's on the LGBTQ spectrum. If you're not aware, so
Yeah, I can say that
him
word
him
apparently.
saying that word is not in any malicious intent.
Yeah, no.
Um, I want to make that perfectly clear.
Yeah, I'm a
Uh,
dick sucking faggot sometimes. Oh my god, I'll stop saying that, but so no one gets
yeah,
offended.
please.
Um,
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I think that one's kind of off the table, no matter what's going on with you. Uh,
you, you can cut those out if you want, but yeah, um I really hate hypocrisy, especially in this situation, because there was a lot of bad that came from these Black Lives Matter protests and riots that just destroyed people's lives, and it destroyed a lot. And I'm sure federal buildings were fucked over too in those protests. But you know, I'm all for peaceful protesting, like I said earlier. Whatever you're protesting for, I'm all for that. Black Lives Matter, peaceful protest. Apparently, this protest. Um, but yeah, until it gets just fucked up. Like you really said a lot in the past 10 minutes. A lot of knowledge.
yeah,
So I agree with a lot of what you said. But
I
fuck,
yeah no
fuck hypocrisy,
I
dog.
yeah no the hypocrisy is whack, but it's also kind of hard to curb because I get the left leaning side of thinking here, where you think, well, the Black Lives Matter protest was a totally different animal because they were protesting something that is actually happening, whereas these other people are protesting nonsensical ideas and doing it nonsensically. That is how I see it as well. I mean, I do think that police violence on minorities is a real issue, and the scamming of the presidential election is not a real issue because it didn't happen. But it's not even about that at a certain point. It's about perspective. So if you have a certain perspective where you believe that that happened, then that's what you're going to think. Louis C.K., I talk about him sometimes on this podcast. Louis C.K. had this joke before he was canceled that I thought was actually a really insightful point on abortion, where, personally, pro-choice, but he actually kind of had me thinking about it because I'm sure he's pro-choice as well. But what he said was, we can't get mad at pro-life people the way that you do. Like, people can't get as mad as they do and up in arms about it because they think that babies are dying. They really believe that babies are fucking being murdered. So if I thought that babies were being murdered, I would probably be upset about that too. I would probably be trying to do anything in my power to make that change. So
Yeah.
if you, I mean, Westboro Baptist Church is as hateful and as disgusting as that set of beliefs is. If you think that guys butt fucking is causing God to send, drone strikes on soldiers, if that's how ass backwards your perspective is, and you really believe that in the heart of your heart, then I get that you would try to curb homosexuality. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me, but you kind of have to look at it through somebody else's lens. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it acceptable. It doesn't make it okay in any way, shape, or form, but it does kind of allow you to understand it and contextualize it to a certain degree.
Yeah. Well said. Was there a force used in this riot? Police force? Because I've been seeing a lot of things about like, oh, where's the tear gas? Where are the bullets? This, that, and the other.
The thing is,
I've been under a rock, if you can't tell.
What people have been saying about the systematic racism of the issue, which I think is a totally valid point, because I even joked to my coworker the next day, it's funny, if these people that did this were wearing turbans, they would have been shot upon entry. But
they're all Trump. What if they were all Trump supporters in turbans?
That would be a weird issue.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like that episode of South Park where they shoot Cartman or whatever, and he's like he's painted himself black, and then they look at the body and they're like, oh no, this is a white kid, and then the guy goes to jail. It was
What?
It was a super I mean, everything South Park does is pretty controversial, but
Yeah.
it was funny as shit. It was the thing where they're doing the Trayvon Martin thing.
They really did that?
Yeah,
Oh my
it was
God.
it was crazy. It was
That
great. Just
wouldn't
me
put-
describing it now, I kind of felt dirty describing that episode.
No, yeah, that's super controversial. I mean, obviously, I mean, it's just wow on them for touching such a controversial subject. In my
Yeah, I
eyes,
mean,
like, holy
South
shit.
Park, the creators of South Park, they have the biggest balls known to man, and I credit them for being just absolute fucking geniuses, because they're so good at taking these touchy subjects, these really touchy subjects, and actually going balls deep with jokes, like not pulling back whatsoever. Like, they'll joke about any horrible thing, and they'll do it with full force. They do not hold back on anything. And the fact that they don't hold back on literally anything has given them this hall pass where they can joke about anything, because everybody knows that they're being completely absurd.
It's quite the reputation they've established for themselves. Jesus. But no one does it as good as them. In the sense where nobody's that raunchy, and nobody's that gross, and nobody's that spot on sometimes. You gotta give it to them. And for fucking 20 years too. Over 20 years.
Yeah, I think there's certain stand-ups that have reached that level where they can joke about those things. Like, you look at a guy like Anthony Jeselnik, and he has reached that level where he can joke about the most vile shit, and kind of nobody gets upset because they're all aware of his reputation and the style of comedy that he does. But South Park is definitely the reigning champion of making the most fucked up jokes and getting away with it scot-free.
As I look at the time, we gotta get the fuck out of here. So everybody, my lovely dreamers, I ask you a couple things today. I ask you to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram at Wade and Lowkey. Like this video, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell button. My name is Mikey. I will be signing out this lovely day. Carson, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just check out my other podcast. Comes out every Tuesday on this channel. It's called the Shock Therapy Podcast. I just talk about bullshit and everything Mikey said. Yeah. That's it.
Goodbye, everybody.
Been feeling
Disconnect. Disconnected now.
I get money. No, I'm reckless now.
I get high, coming off the ground. This life is a prison, someone let me out. Been feeling disconnected now.
I get money. No, I'm reckless now.
I get high, coming off the ground. This life is a prison, someone let me out.